Well, it's been a while since we've done a video, but we wanted to do a video to kind of explain how things are going to work in the fall for faith formation and for sacramental prep. So faith formation is, at Spirit of Christ, it is the anchor, and anchor is going to take two different forms this year. It's going to be the anchor at home, which is the remote program. I guess you could say it's the remote program because it's at home. And then there's anchor in class. We are still going to be meeting in class. So anchor in class works like this. It's going to be similar to last year, but not the same because we can't get together in the big groups. So parents will bring their child to the church, and we will do a screening with temperature checks and everything, just like what happens at school. The parents will sign their child in at their appropriate classroom and then come up to Catholic Conversations, which will be up in the sanctuary. After Catholic Conversations is over, or at 7:15, whichever happens first, because sometimes they go a little long depending on who the speaker is. At 7:15, the parents will leave Catholic Conversations and go pick up their child from their particular classroom and then have to exit the building. So we're not going to have a chance to be together in the large groups like we normally do during the anchor, but we think this is a good solution.
Yeah, we're very excited, honestly, to be able to offer both anchor at home and anchor in class. I think there's definitely a need for both in our community. And so it's very exciting that we get to offer that, especially the in-class portion. We definitely will be taking lots of safety protocols this year for sure, given our current circumstances. And we keep the classes separate so that we're not more than we need to be. The anchor at home will be an exciting new thing that we're going to try out this year. It will follow the same model as our in-classes. The way we've structured anchor this year is back to the way that it was originally designed, is that we're going to have topics for each week, and the entire family will be learning about that topic on any given week. So I think the first week we're learning about the Trinity, and then after that creation. And so the entire family will be learning about that in their separate classes for the in-class portion. Well, the anchor at home, we're happy to be providing for you a lesson plan for your whole family to do in the home. And we thought it would be very difficult for a family with any more than one child to do several lessons at home at one time for faith formation. And so we thought, what if we can just bring these families a family lesson to do based off of our given topic for that day. So for example, the first one being the Trinity, the entire family is going to learn about the Trinity. And the lesson is designed that the whole thing is wrapped in love. And we've used that acronym to just kind of talk about the steps that we will be using in the in-home program. We will likely have another video coming out of exactly how to do the in-home lessons, but basically it will follow the model of Lectio, which will be a prayer using scripture, Oratio, which will have a video of a catechist here or one of our staff members talking about that topic. So if it's Trinity, the Oratio will be about the Trinity for that week. So
Oratio is the formal teaching portion.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so that'll be the actual taught portion of it, 5 to 10 minutes. And then we will do the V, which is Vita, right?
Right, which is bringing it to life.
So we're going to bring the lesson to life, which is, if we're talking about Trinity, we're going to do a Trinity-focused lesson that the whole family can do, from the little ones all the way up to our older kiddos.
And that'll take the form of like a craft or some kind of an object lesson that everybody can do together, just to kind of make it as clear as possible to the kids who are learning the subject. So.
Or an activity. I think there's like a scavenger hunt, which could be really fun. And so, so that's going to be the family activity, just bringing this idea, this topic to life, and showing Christ through the given topic of what we're trying to teach that evening. Then the E is Evangelium. And so that's when we take the gospel and we go out to the world, right? We learn it at our own level. And so for each child in your family, you will be given a place in their books where they can find more information about this topic. as parents, I think we have resources in case you want to learn more about that topic. And I think that's really what the lessons will look like.
Yeah, we anticipate each lesson taking about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Ish. Depending, some families might take longer, some might be a little shorter, but it's going to be like a 45-minute lesson where you, as a family, kind of learn and discuss the topic for that particular night. So.
The nice thing about it is when you get to the Evangelium, if your family's done after the activity or the Vita, bringing it to life, and you're just kind of like worn out for the night, let's say you have preschoolers and they have a 10-minute attention span at most, then you could be done for the evening and then spend the rest of the week breaking open your books and learning more about that topic or that lesson. So I will be sending these lessons out to the Anchor at Home families. I think we decided every Tuesday. So I'll send them out every Tuesday so that you can plan, prepare if you need any materials. We're going to try and keep the material list very, very minimal. And that way you can plan for it and do the lesson at some point that week, including through the weekend following. And so you can expect that email or that lesson plan to be sent with you each week. The other really exciting part about that is if you sign up for Anchor in-class lessons and you just want more to do with your family, we're going to be sending out these home lessons to the entire Anchor community. So it's going to be, I think, a really great opportunity for a lot of families to grow in their faith together as a domestic church. So, which is what we're supposed to do, right? We're supposed to be a domestic church so our kids absorb the faith, not just learn about it factually. So yeah. I'm really excited about this whole thing. So because we've picture our role here at church, at Spirit of Christ, as staff members, as a secondary role to the primary educators, which are the parents, right? We're always secondary. We're supporting you. We'd love to support you. That's why we're going to, support you with these lessons and everything. But really, like, the primary education is lived out in your home every day. So, yeah. So Sacramental Prep, should we just move on to that? Yeah, let's move into Sacramental Prep. Sacramental Prep is going to look a little different this year also, largely because we want to make sure that the Anchor is using most of the time to get the kids ready for their sacraments, but because of the way the curriculum is set out, there are some things that we have to supplement for Sacramental Prep, because there's some of the timing doesn't work for, like, when the child needs to learn how to go to reconciliation. That's a specific timing issue because we have to do that lesson close to the time when they're going to receive the sacrament, so they know what to do and they don't forget. So that's the reason why we're supplementing it the way that we are. But the Sacramental Prep program, whether it's Sacramental Prep Year 1, which is SPY 1, and Sacramental Prep Year 2, which is SPY 2, they both look pretty much the same in terms of the process. So this is kind of how this works. There's most of it can be done at home. By 85-90% of the preparation is actually done at home. But in the course of the curriculum, there's going to be 3 in-person meetings. There's going to be 1 meeting that we're calling a pastoral meeting that we titled Charting Your Course. There's a retreat half day. It goes from 9 a.m. to 9 to noon, right? Yeah. So it's 3 hours. And then there's the faith formation component, which is, at Spirit of Christ, the Anchor. So that's the idea behind it. Whether it's SPY 1 or SPY 2, it's the same process, just the meeting times are different. I think that we should talk about the meeting times and the whole remote thing, though. Yeah, so well, first of all, so reconciliation, if you're not familiar, is right now with our current Archdiocese of Denver is the restored order. And so reconciliation, the Archbishop has said, can start in 2nd grade at the age of reason. And so preparation for that will be an entire year long. And then after that point, confirmation and First Communion are sort of prepared for at the same time. So that would be SPY 2. So SPY 1 is preparation for reconciliation. That's 2nd grade normally. And confirmation, First Eucharist, would be 3rd grade. Now, what if your child has not received these sacraments, but they're like in 4th grade or 5th grade? They haven't received either of these sacraments, but yet they are older than the, ages that we just gave.
Yeah, that's not a problem because we just make sure that we get all of the preparation done, and we just put them in the place where they need to be, and they learn everything when they're supposed to learn it, and then they receive the sacraments with everybody else.
Yeah.
It's not that
So
tough.
it will still be a 2-year process, and then they'll just do their anchor at home with their grade level, or anchor in class, whichever you choose. If you choose anchor at home or anchor in class, it'll be with their grade level, and then they'll do these extra components to Sacramental Prep with all the kids receiving their sacraments together.
Most of the at-home sacramental prep also takes the form of workbooks. So there's a workbook, and then we have some assignments that have to do with looking scriptures up and making sure that the kids actually read them, and they mark their Bibles. We want you to mark your Bibles. It's an okay thing to do. That's yeah, it's a sacred book, but it's not the pages that are sacred. It's the word that you're receiving that makes it sacred. So because if you don't receive it, it doesn't matter. So what makes it sacred literally is you receiving it. So this is a way that we can kind of track that everyone's doing what they're supposed to do, and that you really are receiving what you need to be receiving from Scripture.
And the child can have a sense of accomplishment knowing, hey, I read all of these Bible verses. We can look in their workbook and see that they've done all of the workbook sections. So just to be clear, though, the workbook is part of the anchor at home or the anchor in class. So the good news is there won't be any extra workbook work. So it will either be your at-home lesson that will be part of the Evangelium, where you go and learn in your own workbook. So those will be what we'll be kind of looking at these meetings, and then we'll be learning the additional things that Richard has said. Now, why can't we do 100% of the learning remotely? You know, given the current situation, a lot of people are fearful, a lot of people have risks. Can you explain that to us, Richard?
Well, sacramental prep needs to be a part of the community, because that's what the sacrament is. The kids are preparing for the sacraments of initiation. All of them are sacraments of initiation. So they're being initiated into a thing. That thing they're being initiated into is the church, which is a family and a community. It's a community of faith. So they need to be associated with the parish in at least some way, in order to see that this is a communal activity. All sacraments are communal. They don't happen in a vacuum. They can't. So that's part of it. The other part of it is when you receive when the sacraments are actually conferred onto the person who's receiving it, so your child, they have to be, they're in a group setting. That's going to happen at a mass, or it's going to happen at a reconciliation service, or it's going to happen in a community setting. So you can't do sacraments in a vacuum. It's not a possibility. So.
Yeah, and so because they're joining the community of believers, and because for the sacraments themselves, they're done here at the church, we're going to have some preparation meetings, you know, here at the church, and do the actual sacraments here, because that's where they happen, right? Part of the community of believers, and so. And
when those meetings happen, there seems to be some confusion with some people that the meetings are just the information. And they're really not just the information. It's time for us to get to like interact with everybody. It's time for us to make sure that the things that are happening are actually, that are supposed to be happening, are actually happening. And it's a time for the kids to be able to see that there's people their size and their age all working together on this thing. That's why we do the meetings in person, because we could just have you drop off their workbooks and check them and make sure that that's happening. But that doesn't let your child see that what they're preparing for, a lot of people are preparing for, and that it's happening in a community. We want them to experience the reality that sacraments are community. So that's really why we can't do 100% remote, because that sacraments can't be done in a vacuum. I don't know how else to say that.
Yeah, and so so for that reason, we are going to have the in-class meetings. We've already talked about some precautions we're going to have about temperatures, and we're making sure that each space we use here at Spirit of Christ is only up to 25% capacity. So there's
which is really important, because that's how we're going to be doing all the social distancing. So there'll be a minimum of 6 feet between each family. So
with masks, and so we'll
Yeah,
be
with the
taking
mask
all
in
the
addition.
safety protocols. But we do understand, honestly, I fully understand there are families that they're just really not comfortable with this because they have an underlying health issue, a really vulnerable person at home, and that's just the current situation that we're in. And so for these families, it is 100%, we've talked with Father Chris, perfectly acceptable and fine for the family to choose to postpone the sacraments until they're ready to come and join the church here in the group setting.
In full community,
Yeah,
right?
in a full community. And so it's the times that we're living in, and unfortunately, these circumstances, that's the way that it is. And so we are so excited, though, for when we can all be fully in community again. And
Absolutely. And we'll make every necessary adjustment for people who choose to postpone the sacraments to make sure that their child learns everything that they need to learn in order to receive the sacrament. So that's not an issue at all. But it's really kind of up to individual families as to whether they want to be in this year's system or just wait till there's next year's system, because
we never know what next year's going to hold. And so, but we kind of know that this year's pretty unpredictable as far as COVID goes. And,
completely, totally unpredictable.
Yeah, it's not looking like we'll be back to normal through May. So, so we understand that families will need to do that. But we are very excited about everything that we do have to offer this year. We've been working really hard as a team, as our volunteers, the catechists, the leadership team for Anchor. And so we are super excited about everything that we have to offer, about the retreat day, about the in-person meetings for Sacramental Prep. So we hope that you will join us for the Anchor program this year as a family. And if you have a kid ready to prepare for the sacraments, that will be great. I did want to add too, if you do decide to postpone sacraments because you just can't be here, we still have the Anchor at Home remote learning. So faith formation does not stop for your family.
Right.
It continues on and on and on, and should through the entire time they're under your care. It's so important because, like I said, the parents are the primary educators, and so that's why we're offering this fully at-home program so that families can stay connected and forming their children. So.
If there's a question that we didn't answer, or if there's something that you would still want to have more information about, we're going to have an open house on this coming Sunday, which is the 23rd, August 23rd, at 1:30, and we're going to have the time spread between 1:30 and 4:30 so that people can just kind of filter in and out, so we don't have large groups of people anywhere. This takes the place of our normal ministry fair that we would do every year, where we have hundreds of people show up. So just pick a time and show up, and there probably won't be more than 30 or 40 people in the Spirit Center at one time ever during that time period. So we can make sure to social distance and wear a mask, and we can answer your questions. And
we'd love to meet you and answer any questions that you have. I know the emails have been piling in asking, so hopefully this video clarifies some things. We are starting registration. It should already be up on the website. You can go on and register right now on our webpage at spiritofchrist.org. We'll be handing out flyers at the weekend, the sign-up or informational meeting. And Anchor is scheduled to start the week of the 23rd. So September 23rd, we will have our Anchors Away, where you'll come and meet your catechist if you sign up for the in-person classes. If you're not signing up for the in-person classes, then we will start sending lessons out that following week, the week of September 30th. So I think if I said I'm sending them out on Tuesdays.
Tuesday, yeah, you committed just now.
I did. So September 29th is when you can start to expect your first Anchor in-home lessons to be sent out. And then, of course, our first Sacramental Prep meeting will be the 27th. So right before that, we can clear up any questions. We can hand out books for those families that are going to be in-home. And there will be a way to distribute books that way for the families that are doing the in-home.
Excellent.
So I think that's all we had.
I think that's all we had, too.
Yeah.
But thanks for watching. And if you, again, we want to try to be as open with communication as possible. So if we didn't answer your questions, come to the open house, or you can email me or Jolene. We're getting kind of inundated with emails right now, so that's one of the reasons why we're doing the video. But so
Cannot
be
keep
patient
up-
because
cannot keep up with the
we will
emails.
not get back to you the day we receive it, I promise. It'll be
Rarely,
the next day or the
so-
day after. But
Anyway.
thank you so much. We look forward to having you around and to meet your kids and to get this whole ball rolling again for this year.